Hello everyone, my name is Prithvi R and I'm going to talk about the topic Indifference Curve. An indifference curve is a graphical representation used in economics to depict the various combinations of two goods or commodities that provide equal level of utility or satisfaction to an individual. It shows all possible bundles of goods among which an individual is indifferent, meaning the individual would be equally satisfied or would have the same level of utility. On an indifference curve, each point represents a specific combination of goods, where the quantities of one good are plotted on the x-axis and the quantity of the other good are plotted on the y-axis. The properties of indifference curve include: number 1, downward sloping. Indifferent curves are typically downward sloping from left to right. This indicates that as the quantity of one good increases, the individual must give up some of the other good to remain indifferent or maintain the same level of satisfaction. This property reflects the principle of diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Property number 2 is convexity. Indifferent curves are generally convex at origin. This implies that the individual exhibits diminishing marginal rate of substitution. In other words, as the quantity of one good increases, the individual is willing to give up smaller and smaller amounts of the other goods to maintain the same level of satisfaction. This property reflects the idea that individuals value diversity in their consumption and prefer some combination of goods rather than extreme level of one good. Property number 3 is higher indifference curve indicates higher level of satisfaction. Indifferent curves that are located further away from the origin represent higher levels of satisfaction or utility. This reflects the assumption of non-satiation, meaning individuals always prefer more of both goods. Property number 4 is that indifferent curves do not intersect. Indifference curves do not intersect with each other. If they did intersect, it would violate the assumption of transitivity. In other words, if two indifference curves intersected, it would imply that the individual is indifferent between bundles on both curves but also prefers one bundle to the other, which is logically inconsistent. Property number 5 is that indifferent curves cannot touch the axis. Indifferent curves cannot touch or cross the axis. If an indifference curve touches either the x-axis, which represents the quantity of one good, or the y-axis, representing the quantity of the other good, it would imply that the individual is indifferent between having 0 units of one good and positive units of the other. This violates the assumption of non-satiation. Now let's go and look at the applications of indifference curves. Indifference curves are used to analyze consumer choice, welfare economics, resource allocation, risk analysis, international trade, and public policy. They help derive demand curves, measure welfare, determine optimal resource allocation, and assess policy impacts. Indifference curves provide insights into consumer behavior and decision making patterns in economics. Thank you.